So here we are in Camden Gardens, and Camden Gardens is the start or the end of what will be the Camden Highline. If you follow the viaduct to my right down here, you'll come to Camden High Street and the famous Camden Lock Bridge, give you a bit of wayfinding. And behind me the viaduct is train to the south, Highline to the north. And what we're looking at in Camden Gardens is a interesting, some would say underloved, park that I think will really benefit. And the design team have come up with what I think is a really cute idea of pulling the stairs back through the vacant arch. So instead of having to take away some of the park to the north to create the entrance on the other side, what you'll see is stairs starting here, going up over a concession through and then back around, sort of returning the tree canopy that will get you up to the viaduct level. The stair return will come through the tree canopy here and join up to a parapet that will run alongside the brickwork up here, and actually will punch through the metal of the bridge there that goes over the road. We really like the proximity of the train. Being close to the trains is actually a really nice feature. It's what makes Camden Highline, I think, different to the other versions of it. So we've got live trains right next to us. We're dynamic in width. It changes in shape quite a lot. It gets very wide in some places, quite narrow in others. And the other thing is it actually goes to quite a lot of publicly owned land, which I think also gives it a different character. Some of the big housing estates of Camden are what the Highline goes through. It just makes it very different to somewhere like New York, say. So now we're looking at Camden Road Bridge. So you can see the light coming through the bridge here, where all the tracks were pulled up about 35 years ago. And all that dead space that will be Highline. We've got an archway here that used to be an entrance when that was a four platform station. So we had to bring that back into use and put the stairs back in where they used to be, as well as obviously lift, and it'll be fully accessible. But I also think when I'm stood here that's been a cocktail bar twice, this old underground toilet, and both times failed because of lack of footfall. And actually we're in yet another one of those places where could just do with more people, could do with a bit more love. And I really think that as well as what can happen up on the Highline, it's all the things that can happen around, particularly the entrances, that I think will be really interesting and beneficial for everyone. So we're under the Randolph Street Bridge here, and it sort of reminds me, looking at, again, that sort of bit of infrastructure that we brought back to life, how I think one of the things that the Highline will do is bring a different additional demographic to the area. I mean, it'll happen to King's Cross to some extent as well, but particularly Camden, it's got the nighttime economy stuff going on, which is, vibrant and an important part of London's economy. But I think adding to it the people that will be drawn to a Highline will change the nature of Camden Town, probably for the better in a way. You don't come to Highline to see concerts. There's none of that sort of stuff is associated with the Highline. It's much more about, as with New York or Paris, just being amongst nice, gentle, quiet nature, strolling, meandering. And I think that experience will add something, I think, quite important to the experience of Camden Town. So here we are. This is Bain Street and St Pancras Way, and again, lovely piece of disused infrastructure up there. And I call this entrance number 5. Anyone who's worked with designers and architects will know, you give them a plan and say build me a Highline or design me a Highline with 4 entrances. They come back with one that's got 5 entrances on it, and this is the one that was not part of the original plan. It will be a lovely entrance, I think. I think with the new developments at Moorfields Eye Hospital down there, or the old St Pancras Hospital site, and access to Agar Grove, the estate here, I think it will be a lovely entrance. But at the moment, we've got enough to be getting on with. There's also some issues about can you get a lift on the same side of the road as the stairs access, which of course is an issue for access in Camden. So we all need to do some more work on that. But I think that's also part of the journey of building something like the Highline, that you start out piece at a time and you just keep adding and adding and adding, as they found in New York. So yeah, this is what I call entrance number 5. Designers, stick to your brief. Yeah, so we're now at entrance 3 or 2, depending which way you're coming. This is Camley Street, north-south here, and the Highline is really the only east-west permeability route across here, which is one of the reasons it feels so cut off, this part of Camden, is because the east-west access is either canal all the way down there or Agar Grove up here. So the Highline, I think, really helps that. This area up here where all the breakers yards are and the MOT shops, and all the warehouse stuff down to the south of the railway line here is all part of a new development Camden Council are doing. And the High Line is very much an integral part of that. And we've also been trying to unlock this strange bit of land here, which is owned by a multitude of public bodies. But Camden have a, I think, really interesting aspiration to create an entrance to the High Line within the development if they can free up this land, which I think would be great. Actually really rather nice. Not so great at night, but a really nice, weird bit of a urban landscape. Oh my goodness, it's been cleaned up. Wow. It's been tarmacked over. I mean, this was a sort of scrubland up until very, very recently. So someone's taking some initiative here. I assume this is Camden. It's Camden land, I think. And then here's the fence. There's the train. So you can see we're going to have a fence that splits us on the High Line to the right here from the trains to the left. We've worked really hard at a screen that enables proper separation between people and trains, but also so you can see, feel and hear the trains when you're up here. We're now sort of coming to the Maiden Lane station. I think some people in the estate would quite like the High Line to be integrated a bit more so that they could use it, and others feeling they want it completely separate. But you then come to the point about what about all this additional sort of scrubland that the High Line is going to be well looked after and maintained. This isn't our jurisdiction, but wouldn't it be nice if we could sort of co-manage it in some way that benefits everyone, even though it may not be part of our lease, for example. And we're very up for those sorts of conversations. But equally, if people want to be left alone, we're happy to leave people alone. There's an interesting difference here from the way in which, say, property values around the New York High Line were so elevated. When your land is owned by the local authority in that way, the opportunity for that land value increase to be exploited is much reduced, which has a bit of a kind of depressive aspect on the gentrification. If you think when we're down at York Way, you'll only be about 10-12 minute walk from Camden Road Overground. And in fact, one of our plans is to introduce oyster barriers on the eastbound platform at Camden Road, so you become straight off the High Line onto the platform there. And that will be closed at night, fully shut, no access outside. So it'll open like a park, dusk till dawn till dusk. So here we are on top of the community centre or the nursery at Maiden Lane Estate. In fact, I think you can just see the Eurostar coming round the bend of the buildings here. So people like Meta and DeepMind are going to be all in that Argent estate there. And as I say, I think that's Eurostar sneaking round the corner. So the High Line is the other side of this wall between the train and here, where it gets much narrower, so it's more of a straight walk. And when we're up here, I always get that feeling of this is why these places are special. The calmness, there's something to do with the air quality. It just feels slightly different at this level, just above the norm of what we experience walking around in cities, that I think gives them a really nice calm feel. Old Maiden Lane station here, decommissioned probably at the same time as that bit of the railway was decommissioned. But it's another one of these areas that all that activity going on down at Argent and King's Cross area. You've got Tile Yard down here, thriving hub of creative industries. People like Mark Ronson got their studio in there. This was thrown up by private equity a few years ago. It's a Life Biosciences Centre. So a lot of interesting stuff, and yet we're in this dead sort of space. And it's a sort of theme I keep coming back to, that the feet where the High Line lands are in many ways just as important as the High Line itself, certainly for what happens at ground level. And you can still see a sort of bricked up door in the wall up here. I think it's a nice little feature that we can open up, maybe have a bit of artwork in there. So this is Alex Ross, who's joined us, and she's doing work on the heritage aspects funded by the National Lottery Heritage Fund, which is really interesting. But I think one of the things that we've been surprised at when Alex was recruited is she's recruiting apprentices, what do you call them? Trainees, heritage trainees to work with her. Is the number of young people that wanted to get involved and how involved they've been.
Yeah, it's been amazing. It seems that everyone that hears about the project in some way has a connection with it, be that local or an interest in architecture. or a passion for positive development and improvement, and everyone has been wanting to share an opinion or be involved in some way.
There you go.